So this is going to be super important, right? I'm actually going to like to see what they kind of do with the characters, because there's some characters that are performing extremely well and some characters that are just performing a little bit less than you would like, right? Currently, as we move through early access and the official launch, we are disappointed to see that some hunters are not as favored as our development team intended. The development team has continuously considering this as an issue and determined that providing the joy of diverse gameplay is crucial. Therefore, a performance adjustment will take place as below based on the current usage and performance of the launcher. So I'm not gonna lie, the game does one thing good, and that's making the characters unique. I feel like every single character that's in this game so far is all unique in their own separate way, right? Aside from that, there is some male characters that are actually are performing extremely well, and they don't need buffs. It's just that people don't really actually try and test them out, right? For example, I don't understand why Baek is here when I guarantee you a lot of people are using Baek just simply because he's one of the best breakers in the game. So I'm not entirely sure why they decided to give him a buff, because this looks like a buff, right? So let's just read out what it says, right? So we got Baek Yoonho. I'll kill you closer. The overall damage will increase. Why are you increasing his damage, bro? Increasing his damage is crazy. He's a whole breaker, and you want him to do damage too? What's the point of using other DPSs when you could just use him and break too? And the Damnation QTE will be adjusted to easier to hit when attacking at close range. Now you can use the Damnation skill without hesitation. Yes, that was probably one of his bigger issues, is like if you use your QTE and you go in, you wouldn't be able to reach them sometimes, which was actually a big problem to his actual kit, because it's a big portion of like fundamental to his kit, right? Like you actually needed the QTE when using him in a hunter scenario. I think this is a good change. I don't know why they're increasing the damage though. His damage was actually really good, especially for what he does. Next up, we have Jinchul. So I haven't used him too much, right? I know he's good. He's a decent character. I just don't have enough gear to properly test him at maximum efficiency, so I'm not gonna give too much input on him, right? So let's just get on with what the changes are, right? So consistency is the key to holding onto the surveillance team position. With the addition of super armor when using skills, okay, all right, that's already good enough. What the hell? Super armor on your skills too? And he has dodges? Okay, so like nobody's stopping him. You can maintain your damage cycle without being canceled. So that's a good change, because even though I don't have him properly built yet, I do know with his interactions, this was a big problem with him, bro. Whenever your cycle would be canceled and you're just trying to stack and you get those damage increases and you're trying to, make sure that you're breaking the enemy and doing your dashes, the fact that you're able to be canceled out of your skill just ruins his whole, like it ruins his whole entire kit. Like not being able to continuously hit those attacks, which are super important to how you play the character. It's just, this is a really good change for him. Upon achieving the first advancement, the cooldown penalty will be eased, preventing any cooldown gaps for meditation of power skill during three player tag play. The overall attack tempo will be increased, allowing faster hit and run attacks than before, right? So that's kind of how his playstyle is. You kind of just go in, use your skills, back out a little bit so you don't get hit with your dashes, go back in again, because, I mean, your dashes will lower the cooldown on your skills, right? So this is going to be good, especially with the what's called, easing on the penalty from your first advancement, because the first advancement it was just too it wasn't good enough, right? So this is definitely going to help him better in a team play scenario, right? So he's going to be significantly better. I mean, his damage won't change much, but like him being able to consistently output damage, is the irony is kind of crazy here, especially when it says consistency is the key to holding on to the surveillance team position, and this whole thing is about consistency for him, right? So overall, this is a W change for him. He's definitely going to play a lot better. Will people play him? I have no clue, but he is a free character after 7 days of login. So maybe there's some newer people who are still just now picking up the game. They don't have access to him. I don't know why they said that there's some characters that people aren't using as much, but next up we have Silver Main Baek Yoonho. I'm curious too, how far does my power reach? To prevent situations where the extreme attack beast form penalty poses a threat to survival in long-term battles, we aim to further enhance survivability in extreme conditions. During extreme attack beast form, the accuracy and rigidity of basic attacks will be improved, allowing for more and overwhelming and relentless attacks. All right, so extreme attack beat form, I'm pretty sure is his stimulant, which might be his second skill. And basically, the issue with it is like you would consistently lose HP and increase your damage taken over time. So what ends up happening is your survivability is really bad. And in long-term battles, it's not an issue in long-term battles. I don't know why they say in long-term battles. It was never an issue in long-term battles. It's an issue in any battle overall. Like you're one hit away from just being dead on the floor. So them being able to increase the enhanced survivability from the extreme conditions, I think the best way to do this is just to remove the damage taken increase. You do not need to have that. That's not necessary. Like trust me, he will get below the HP threshold. Like he'll get low enough so that way he's doing maximum damage output. You just need to remove the increased damage taken, like to him. That they don't need to have that there. And then the rest, that's fine. Increasing it more, like I don't know what you could increase more. I have him max dupe and everything, and I played with him at like not max dupe and full max dupe, and like his attacks were doing significant amounts of damage. I don't even think this was a necessary buff aside for the actual increasing his survivability. His damage output is completely fine. But I mean, I will accept it because I actually like playing that character. Those are the type of characters I like to play. Next up, we have Liora. I've gotten a bit closer to the Phantom Foxes. Despite the recommended stat for artifacts including crit hit rate and crit hit damage, the Phantom Foxes had an individual crit hit rate and damage stats. Now the Phantom Foxes will inherit some of Libora's stats, making them even more powerful than before. Okay, so let's just say she's a summoner now, okay? So all your damage is going to be incorporated onto your pets too, which is kind of crazy, but overall, I wasn't using her for her damage. I was really using her for her increased damage taken, but her charms and stuff. But I mean, this is a bonus. Now I'll feel more incentivized to actually use her. So again, another W. Doesn't look like we're having too many nerfs here. A lot more are just buffs, right? Now this one, you guys already know I'm excited for this one. Jesus Christ, ain't no way they're buffing him. If I read this and it's a nerf, we're losing. We're breaking loose. Hell is breaking loose. On God, revenge is not over yet. You're damn right it isn't. The difficulty of using charge skills due to the absence of super armor before the impulsive revenge the impulsive revenge effect will be improved. Right, so his second skill basically can charge up and do damage, but you can get hit while you're doing it, right? And once you get hit while you're doing it, then you just kind of lose out on all the damage, right? Because that's a big portion of his damage. Like his second skill is way stronger than his ult. It's stronger than all his skills combined, right? So it's like you really need that hit to go off, and the fact that you can't get it off because you get hit while doing it because of no super armor is really bad. So I'm assuming that now your second skill is most likely going to have super armor, right? But before you have impulsive revenge, because impulsive revenge gives you a shield, right? So like you get super armor while you have that shield. As a result, Wong Dongu will be able to execute more aggressive attacks than before. So, you know, again, this lets you full charge, so that way you're able to maximum output your damage. That's what they're referring to, more aggressive attacks. That means you're able to ease back a little bit and, you know, actually use your skill without having to worry about them interrupting your second skill. Now, overall damage will be increased, granting more overwhelming destructive power than before. I had this character, I used them at no dupes and I used them at max dupes, and I'm not gonna tell you, his damage was crazy insane, and this is just being a character that's very underrated, and I don't know why they're starting to buff his damage even more when he's already super powerful. Like I think he's still a very good like top contender for like one of the top DPSs. Like so basically how I've been using him before was just as quick bursts. I was never using his charge from his second skill, because obviously he doesn't have super armor and you get interrupted, then you lose all the damage. But I did try it out the other day, and I think I did like 2 mil just on his second skill, right? With like no stacks of his passives or anything built. 2 mil with 2 ticks, right? Because he ticks it at tier 2, right? Like if you have dupes in him, it'll tick multiple times. And I did like 4 million with just that one skill, right? And of course you could use it twice, right? Because like you use it one time, and then you can use it again when your impulsive revenge activates because it resets the cooldown of it. So I was actually surprised by how much damage he's doing. He was just doing so much more damage than my Chai Hei in such a quicker, like in a quicker interval, right? Like it was faster. It didn't take any like difficult play or anything. You didn't have to do any precise movements. He just did it simple and smooth, right? So with this super armor is definitely going to make him more better. I do kind of wish that they did increase the range on his ultimate though, because his ultimate is probably one of his biggest drawbacks with the fact that you have to be in front of the enemy. It doesn't have a time stop or anything. Like the whole animation is continuous, which means bosses can move while you're doing the ult. And yeah, the range was the biggest issue though. Not even the fact that bosses could move. The range was the biggest issue. Like you have to be dead in front of them. Otherwise, if you use it even like a few feet away, you're gonna miss and your whole ult is gonna be completely wasted. So overall, I'm really content with this change, even though I don't think he needs it, right? Like the second part. The first part he definitely needed. Next up, we have Lim Tae-gyu. I never miss, right? So this character, I used this character a lot when I first started the game during early access, and I thought the character was actually really good and carried me a lot. But as time went on, I kind of fell out of love for the character just because I don't feel like he was as powerful as the other ones. But we'll get into that in a bit. The efficiency of benefits compared to the required operation due to the alternating usage of shoot and maneuver volley fire skills will be improved. So basically, your dodge into your core attack, they're going to improve that, right? I don't know what they mean by that. Maybe they're going to increase its damage. I don't know. This doesn't really explain a whole lot to me. It's extremely vague for me. Additionally, overall damage will be increased when Lim Tae-gyu is in the magic boost dice. So I'm assuming that they're probably just going to increase the amount of core attack damage that you get from the magic boost. That way his shoot and maneuver into volley fire does more damage, right? Because he's more of like a core attack ult character. Like his skills are okay, but like his first skill is just to dodge, right? So that way it immediately procs his core attack. So it's basically his core attack. It's basically his first skill is basically his core attack, and then his second skill is basically his ult, but just one shot. And it's very slow with long animation times. I don't use it too much unless I need to break, so it's okay. So this is gonna be. I don't know how this is gonna be. I just need to see it in game. Realistically, I need to see how the interaction is and what kind of like buff or stat boost or what they actually improve on it. Because a lot of this is entirely vague. The following hunters and weapons are scheduled for adjustments with aim changes and enhancing their balance compared to the current status. Updated 521, 925. So are they currently already in game? When does it say it's updating? Wait, is it literally now? Is all this information that I'm reading right now actually out now? Let's just assume that it's because this information was posted on the 21st. Let's just assume that, right? But those are going to be the changes that are going to be happening. And then it says more details will be provided in future update detail notice. There's also going to be changes to Min. There's also going to be changes to Seo, Emma, Chae-in, Choi, Park Beom-shik, Song Chiu, Jo Koo-won, and then the SSR Vulcan's Rage Weapon and the rare Lycan Slayer. Very interesting. So Vulcan Rage, I think they're gonna not nerf, buff this. Lycan Slayer, I think it's more of a balancing. It's not really a nerf or a buff. Min, it might be more likely that they might be nerfing it. I'm not gonna lie, because I mean, a lot of this kit works as well, but if they were to buff him, it would probably be like increasing the duration on the damage taken. Because I feel like once you do your rotation, like when you use him, go into your second character for your rotation to inflict defense down or break, and then you go into your main DPS, the damage buff is already nearly gone, right? Seo, it might be very likely that this character is going to get nerfed. I don't see what you can buff with a character that resets cooldowns. All damage is scaled on HP. The shield is scaled on HP. The weapon hit damage is like extremely high. Emma, they're probably going to make it easier to get your stacks and how you use your stacks, right? Like your heat absorption and your heat exhaustion. probably gonna be something between that. Chai-in, I have no clue what they're gonna do for this, and hopefully it's not big changes. I don't think there needs to be big changes because a lot of people kind of went all in for her because I mean it was an anticipated character for a lot of the early access players, and then of course a lot of the new players just starting out went after this character because a lot of people were telling them to go after this character, right? So it's kind of like I don't know. I think a lot of people would be a little bit outraged or a little bit upset if it's a big change, right? Like a big negative change. Then we have Choi. Choi definitely needs some buffs. Personally, he does. For me, I feel like he does the work good. Like the defense down and all that is really good, and him being a sub DPS that he can easily swap out of is very nice. As for SSR weapons, which require a lot of time and effort to power up, they are not easy for hunters to prefer a relatively lighter gaming experience. To address this, we are preparing features such as evolving SR Sun Jin Woo weapons into higher grade weapons and crafting SR Hunter exclusive weapons. We will try to be careful and discreet as we can, as this will change the composition of the game that has already been launched. We hope that our sincere wish for many hunters to enjoy the game can be even more effectively conveyed. Okay, so basically for SSR weapons, I understand because getting the materials to actually level up all the weapons and the gold and everything does take a lot of time. For early access players such as myself, I've actually leveled quite a few of these weapons already, and I don't really think there's any that really needs a buff or a nerf aside from Vulcans, and I believe the gun, I think it's called Heaven's Judgment or something like that. The gun also needs a slight buff because it's a mid-ranged weapon, and it has good break, but I don't feel like the damage is good enough unless you have dupes in it, right? So it feels very wonky to me, though, at least those two weapons. And then Tome needs a better targeting system since it only targets whoever's closer to you. It should have a priority on characters that you're trying to target. Anyways, I appreciate you guys for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe. We'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.